After 15 years of excluding me from family reunions, they had the nerve to show up at my mansion. My name is Emma, and at 38, I never expected to hear that doorbell again. Standing in my $15 million Beverly Hills mansion, successful CEO of a tech empire I built from nothing, I froze. 15 years of family exclusion had left scars that success could not heal. Through the security camera, I saw them all waiting outside, their faces a mixture of awe and desperation. The family that once threw me away had come crawling back. Tell me where you're watching from and hit that like and subscribe button before we dive into how I watched the color drain from their faces when they realized what was coming. Growing up in a middle-class neighborhood in Denver, my childhood should have been ordinary. My father, William, worked as an engineer at a respectable firm, bringing home a comfortable salary. My mother, Catherine, taught 3rd grade at the local elementary school, beloved by her students and the community. From the outside, we appeared to be the perfect American family, living in a 4-bedroom colonial with a white picket fence and a golden retriever named Max. But appearances can be deceiving. I was the youngest of 3 children. My brother Nathan was 7 years older, the golden boy who excelled at everything he touched. Football scholarships, straight A's, and a charming personality that made everyone gravitate toward him. My sister Isabel, 5 years my senior, was the beauty of the family with her perfect blonde curls and dazzling smile. She was a talented pianist and captain of the debate team. And then there was me, the afterthought. From my earliest memories, I felt the difference in how I was treated. While my siblings received praise and attention for their achievements, mine were met with indifference or criticism. When I brought home straight A's, my mother would merely nod and say, "That's what we expect." When Nathan or Isabel brought home the same grades, there would be celebrations and special dinners. "Why can't you be more like your sister?" my mother would ask when I struggled with piano lessons. "Isabel was playing Mozart at your age." My father was no better. He attended every single one of Nathan's football games, cheering from the stands and boasting to his colleagues about his son's athletic prowess. But when I qualified for the state science fair in 5th grade, he claimed he was too busy with work to attend. "Science isn't really a spectator sport, Emma," he said dismissively. "Besides, I have an important meeting that day." I later discovered he had rescheduled that important meeting to watch Nathan's practice game. My 10th birthday was the clearest example of where I stood in the family hierarchy. Mom had promised a small party at our house with a few friends from school. I had been looking forward to it for weeks, even helping to make the invitations by hand. The morning of my birthday, I woke up early, excited for the celebration. "Emma, there's been a change of plans," my mother announced over breakfast. "Nathan has a championship game today, and we all need to be there to support him. We'll have to reschedule your party." My heart sank as I realized what was happening. "But Mom, my friends are coming in 2 hours. We can't cancel now." "Don't be selfish," my father interjected. "This is a big day for your brother. Family comes first." Family comes first. That phrase would haunt me for years to come, especially when I realized it never seemed to apply when I was the one who needed support. The party was hastily cancelled. I called each friend while fighting back tears, explaining that we would have to celebrate another time. Then I was dragged to Nathan's football game where I sat in the bleachers for 3 hours, forgotten as my parents cheered and my sister socialized with her friends who had also come to watch. No one sang happy birthday that day. No one mentioned it at all. When we got home, there was no cake, no presents, just leftover pizza from the celebration for Nathan's winning game. I ate alone in my room, tears silently falling onto my plate. Isabel was perhaps the cruelest. As a young teenager, when I was still in elementary school, she found ways to torment me psychologically. She would invite friends over and then exclude me from their activities, locking me out of rooms or speaking in whispers that stopped the moment I entered. She borrowed my things without asking and returned them damaged, if at all. When I complained to our parents, she would put on an innocent face. "Emma's just being dramatic again," she would say, and they would believe her. Nathan wasn't actively mean, just indifferent. As the big brother, he could have protected me from Isabel's bullying, but he chose to stay out of it. He lived in his own world of sports and popularity, too busy to notice the quiet suffering of his little sister. The only person who showed me genuine love was my grandmother, Grace, my mother's mother. Grandma Grace lived an hour away and visited once a month. During those visits, I felt seen for the first time. "You have a special spark, Emma," she would tell me as we baked cookies together in the kitchen. One day, the world will see what I see in you. Grandma Grace brought me books because she noticed how much I loved to read, unlike my parents who viewed my reading habit as antisocial. She attended my science fairs and school performances, sitting in the front row and beaming with pride. With Grandma Grace, I didn't have to compete for attention or love, it was freely given. In school, I excelled academically. My teachers praised my intelligence and creativity. But at home, these accomplishments were minimized. Book smarts will only get you so far in life, my father would say when I showed him my report card. You need to develop social skills like your sister if you want to succeed. I tried to join clubs and activities to win their approval. I signed up for debate team like Isabel, but when I advanced to regionals, my parents were too busy to attend. I tried out for soccer, hoping my father might show the same enthusiasm he did for Nathan's sports. But when I made the team, he merely commented that girls' sports weren't as competitive as boys. By the time I reached high school, I had resigned myself to being invisible in my own family. I focused on my studies, knowing that education was my ticket to freedom. I worked part-time at the local library, saving every dollar for college. I applied for scholarships in secret, determined to forge my own path. When acceptance letters came from top universities, including MIT and Stanford, my parents seemed surprised, as if they had never considered that I might be capable of such achievements. Their reaction was tepid at best. "Those schools are very expensive," was my father's first comment, "and very far from home." I detected a note of relief in his voice at the thought of my leaving. It confirmed what I had always suspected: I was an obligation, not a beloved daughter. My heart broke a little more that day, but it also strengthened my resolve to build a life where I would be valued. Little did I know then that the worst betrayal was yet to come, and that the true nature of my place in the family would be revealed in the cruelest way possible. The pivotal moment that shattered any remaining illusions about my family came when I was 23. I had graduated from MIT with honors, earning a computer science degree with a specialization in cybersecurity. I had secured a job at a tech startup in Silicon Valley, my first step toward independence. I was starting to believe that maybe, just maybe, I could finally earn my family's respect through my achievements. Then came the call that Grandma Grace had passed away unexpectedly from a heart attack. I was devastated. The one person who had made me feel loved and valued was gone. I flew back to Denver immediately for the funeral, my heart heavy with grief. The funeral was a somber affair, with relatives I barely knew offering condolences and sharing memories of my grandmother. Throughout the service, I sat alone in the front row while my parents, Nathan, and Isabel huddled together, presenting a united front of family grief. No one thought to check if I was okay, despite knowing how close I had been to Grandma Grace. After the service, the family gathered at my parents' house. The reading of the will was scheduled for that afternoon. I sat quietly in the corner of the living room, leafing through a photo album of Grandma Grace, trying to process my loss. When the lawyer arrived, everyone gathered in the dining room. As he read through the will, most items and assets were distributed as expected. Grandma Grace's house went to my mother, her car to Nathan, and her jewelry collection to Isabel. Then came the surprise. "To my beloved granddaughter Emma," the lawyer read, "I leave my grandmother's emerald ring and the sum of $8,000. You were always special to me, and I know you will make me proud." The room fell silent. Then my mother let out a scoff. $8,000 and her old ring? That's it. I was stunned by her reaction. I hadn't expected anything and was deeply touched by Grandma Grace's gesture. The emerald ring was a family heirloom that had belonged to my great-great-grandmother. It wasn't the monetary value that mattered to me, but the sentiment behind it. My father's face had turned an alarming shade of red. "This is outrageous," he sputtered. "Grace always did favor Emma for some reason." "For some reason?" I echoed, finding my voice. "Maybe because she was the only one who ever showed me any kindness in this family." That was when everything exploded. Years of resentment and secrets came pouring out. "You want to talk about kindness?" my father shouted. "We took you in when no one else would. We gave you a home and education opportunities most kids could only dream of. And this is the gratitude we get." Confusion washed over me. "Took me in? What are you talking about?" My mother shot my father a warning look, but it was too late. The damage was done. "You're not even our daughter," he spat out. You were 2 years old when we adopted you after your mother died. Lisa was Catherine's college roommate. Had you out of wedlock, then got herself killed in a car accident. No father in the picture, no other family willing to take you. So we did, out of the goodness of our hearts. The room spun around me. Adopted? This couldn't be real. I looked at my mother, silently pleading for her to deny it. Instead, she sighed. We were going to tell you when you were older, but then it never seemed like the right time. 23 years, and it had never been the right time to tell me the truth about my own identity. All those years of feeling like I didn't belong, like I was different somehow, suddenly made terrible sense. So I've been living a lie my entire life? I whispered. Does everyone know except me? Most of the family knows, Isabel said with a shrug. It wasn't exactly a secret. We just didn't talk about it. Not a secret to anyone except me, the person whose life it was. I felt sick to my stomach. Why did Grandma Grace leave the ring to Emma anyway? Nathan asked the lawyer. It should stay with blood family. Blood family. Those words cut through me like a knife. Mrs. Grace specifically mentioned that Emma should have the ring because, in her words, true family is about love, not blood, the lawyer replied uncomfortably. That set my father off again. That old woman always did try to undermine our parenting, filling Emma's head with nonsense, making her think she was special when we were trying to raise her to be realistic about her place in the world. My place? I asked, my voice rising. And what exactly is my place in this family? You should be grateful we took you in at all, Isabel interjected. Do you know how many orphans end up in the system? You had privileges most of them could only dream of. I looked at my sister, seeing her clearly for the first time. Privileges like being reminded constantly that I wasn't as good as you or Nathan. Like having my birthdays forgotten and my achievements ignored? Those kinds of privileges. See, this is exactly why we never told you, my mother said. We knew you would react emotionally instead of rationally. Finding out my entire life has been a lie seems like a reasonable thing to be emotional about, I retorted. My father stood up, towering over the table. That's enough. I won't have you speaking to your mother that way under my roof. If you can't show some gratitude for everything we've done for you, then perhaps you should leave. I looked around the table at the faces of the people I had called family for 23 years. None of them came to my defense. Not even Nathan, who had always been the least antagonistic toward me. In that moment, I made my decision. Fine, I said quietly, gathering my purse. I'll go. But first, I want to know one thing. Was anything real? Did you ever love me at all, or was I just a charity case you regretted taking on? The silence that followed was all the answer I needed. I walked out of that house and never looked back. The exclusion from family life became official after that day. I wasn't invited to Thanksgiving that year, or Christmas, or any family gathering that followed. I saw photos on social media of family reunions, holiday celebrations, and milestone events, all without me. Isabel would occasionally post pictures with captions like complete family gathering, or so blessed to have everyone I love in one place, pointed reminders that I wasn't considered part of everyone. With the $8,000 from Grandma Grace and her emerald ring as my only inheritance, I cut all ties and vowed to build a life so successful that they would one day regret throwing me away. Little did I know just how dramatically that vow would be fulfilled. I arrived in Silicon Valley determined to forge a new beginning. The money wouldn't last long in one of America's most expensive areas, so I had to be strategic. I found a tiny apartment sharing with 2 other young women, Alice, a nurse working night shifts, and Jordan, a graduate student in literature. Both were too busy with their own lives to pry into mine, which suited me perfectly. I secured an entry-level job as a technical support specialist at a small software company. The pay was minimal, barely covering my expenses, but it was a foot in the door of the tech industry. Each night after my shift, I would spend hours teaching myself additional programming languages and cybersecurity protocols. To save money, I lived on ramen noodles and peanut butter sandwiches. I cut my own hair, shopped at thrift stores, and walked miles to avoid paying for transportation. Every dollar saved was a dollar that could keep me independent from the family that had rejected me. 6 months into my self-imposed exile, I attended a free tech workshop at the public library. The topic was emerging threats in cybersecurity. The presenter was Professor Diana Martinez, a a renowned expert from Berkeley. When the formal presentation ended, I approached her with a specific question about encryption protocols. Professor Martinez looked surprised by the technical nature of my question. "That's an insightful observation," she said. "Most people wouldn't have caught that nuance. Are you working in the field?" Something about Professor Martinez's kind eyes made me feel seen in a way I hadn't experienced since Grandma Grace. She became my unofficial mentor, and under her guidance, I began developing a concept for a revolutionary approach to data protection. After 27 investor rejections, I finally found an angel investor named Travis who believed in my vision. With $200,000 in funding, I developed a prototype that would change everything. My company, SecureVault, grew from a small office to a tech empire. Our behavioral authentication system revolutionized personal data security. Within 5 years, we had licensing agreements with major corporations. Within 10 years, I took the company public, making me a billionaire. I moved to my $15 million Beverly Hills mansion, but success felt empty without genuine connections. I established the Grace Foundation, supporting foster children and those rejected by their families. I built a chosen family of friends, colleagues, and mentor who valued me for who I was. Then, 15 years after being cast out, they appeared at my gate. Through the security camera, I saw them all. My father William, now in his 70s with gray hair and a stooped frame. My mother Catherine, still wearing her pearl necklace. Nathan, heavier now, his athletic build softened by middle age. And Isabel, still immaculately groomed with 2 children clutching her hands, a boy about 10 and a girl of perhaps 8. I let them in, served coffee in my finest porcelain, and listened to their sob stories. William's company had gone bankrupt. Nathan was going through a divorce and struggling financially. Isabel's husband had left her for his secretary, and her legal bills were astronomical. They wanted $2 million to restart the family business. They spoke of family as if it were something that could be picked up and put down whenever convenient. I had prepared for this moment. I showed them the album I'd kept, screenshots of every family gathering, every holiday celebration, every milestone they'd celebrated without me. I read aloud my father's email from years ago, demanding I cease contact. I showed them Isabel's accidentally forwarded message calling me a freak despite being rich. "For 15 years, you lived your lives as if I didn't exist," I said calmly. "You were a family in every sense of the word, just without me. Now you come here asking for handouts, talking about family as if it's something that can be profitable." I watched the color drain from their faces as they realized I would not be manipulated again. "I will not be giving you $2 million, I continued. "What I will do is establish education funds for the children. They shouldn't be punished for your failures." My father's face flushed with familiar anger. "After everything we did for you. You did the legal minimum required of parents," I cut him off. "And you made sure I knew every day it was an obligation, not love." As I walked them to the door, Isabel turned back. "For what it's worth," she said quietly, "I am proud of what you've accomplished." "Too little, too late," I replied. "Take care of your children, Isabel. They deserve better than what we had." I closed the door on my past and finally felt free. The family that once defined me by my absence had lost their power over my happiness. In their place was a community of chosen family, people who had earned their place in my life through love, not blood. Standing in my garden, twisting Grandma Grace's emerald ring on my finger, I realized she had been right all along. True family is about love, not blood. And I had built a beautiful family of my own choosing. Have you ever had to create your own family when your biological one let you down? Share your stories in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if this resonated with you. Remember, sometimes the most beautiful families are the ones we choose for ourselves.